Look, acting can feel intimidating at the beginning. Trust me, I know. But here's the thing. Acting is a skill. And just like any other skill, you just have to start at the beginning and get better. So today, I'm giving you some of the most effective, beginner-friendly acting tips that would genuinely make you better, starting right now.
What will you do to act? What are you willing to sacrifice?
If you're new here, this is Todd Foolery, and I'm Todd, award-winning actor, writer, producer, and video editor. Now, I've worked with first-time actors, seasoned actors, people terrified to be on camera, and then people who live for the spotlight. I've also been on both sides of the casting table, and after directing, auditioning, casting, coaching, and performing, I've noticed that beginners usually struggle with the same handful of things. So I'm gonna fix that for you. Here's the thing. Most beginners think acting is about getting the lines right, or making a certain face, or performing the right emotion. But great acting starts with active listening. The audience connects to you when you're truly reacting to what's happening in the scene. But if you're so focused on what you're going to say next, or how you're going to look, or where your next mark is, you're not present. You're performing in the scene instead of actually living in it. So the first tip is, forget trying to act. Just listen. Like, really listen. The performance will naturally become grounded and more truthful. Okay, so picture this. You're standing there and you're waiting for the director to say action, right? Before the scene begins, ask yourself, what happened right before this? Something always happened. You didn't just spawn into the scene out of nowhere. I mean, unless this is a sci-fi film, and in that case, you can just ignore this, but maybe you're rushing. Maybe you had a long night and you're exhausted. Maybe you just had a conversation with someone that just threw your energy all off. Knowing what existed 5 to 10 seconds before your scene gives that first line energy and authenticity. It eliminates that awkward robotic starting point that all beginners fall into. So this tip immediately makes your work feel lived in and real. Beginners too often try to play everything at once. A little angry, a little sad, a little funny, a little emotional. But scenes get infinitely easier when you just simplify your intention. Ask yourself, what do I want in this moment? Do I want approval, comfort, power? Am I trying to hide something? Am I trying to make you stay? Choose one clear, playable action and let it guide everything naturally. And who knows, maybe you end up feeling all of those emotions, but you'd be shocked how grounded your work becomes simply by committing to a single choice and letting that moment dictate that. Okay, this one is my absolute favorite to play with. Acting is not just lines. Your breath, your posture, your stillness, your tension, these things tell a story too. On-camera acting is subtle. Smaller reads stronger. A small eye shift or a slight swallow can communicate more than any dramatic monologue ever could, in my opinion. And most beginners try to show emotions instead of letting their body express them naturally. My favorite celebrity story on this topic is about Tom Holland returning to the set of Spider-Man after playing Nathan Drake in Uncharted. So John Watts allegedly told Tom that he was walking too confidently and he needed to bring that down to match the tone of this awkward teenage Peter Parker. And that's how powerful the body is in acting. So pay attention to how you physically respond to your emotions in real life and then let that inform your acting work. Listen, if you're only memorizing words, your performance becomes stiff and disconnected. You can tell when you watch a film, it's because they're just reciting words. Instead, memorize what the character is trying to do in each moment. Memorize that actual intention, right? When you know the emotional logic and the scene motivation behind the lines, you can say them more freely and naturally. It also helps if you forget or fumble a line, and I do this a lot, because you still know what your character is trying to accomplish, so you can bounce back on track. Okay, so this one might sound strange, but it's one of the best training tools for beginners. And I am notorious for immediately rewinding a good scene just to watch it again with no audio. Turn the sound off, okay? And watch an actor's face and body. It's so fascinating. Pay attention to their eyes, their breath, their little micro expressions. You'll start to understand how much of acting, especially on camera, happens with no words at all. Oh my gosh, beginner actors always freeze when they don't do the thing they wanted to do. They make a silly face when they fumble a line. They want to start over if they get caught by surprise. But perfection is actually the enemy of good acting. The best actors are curious, they're messy, they're playful, they aren't afraid to make bold choices. They don't care about impressing people. They care about telling the truth and living in the moment authentically. And look, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I were to put on my video editor hat, 9 times out of 10, I'm serious, I seek out those moments of imperfection. There have literally been times I was like, nah, this feels too perfect. I gotta find something that seems more real. So look, don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to look awkward. Don't be afraid to be real. That is what makes great acting great.
Of the 50,000 people that call themselves actors, there's only 500 working actors. Of that 500, most of them are white. There are a few roles for black people, but those roles are usually for all the Wayans brothers.
Like I said, acting is a skill. And like any skill, you get better through practice, intentionality, and most importantly, curiosity. If you focus on active listening, knowing the moment before, making a clear choice, using your body, memorizing intent, watching performances with no sound, and letting go of perfection, your acting will improve dramatically. I guarantee. If you want more acting-focused videos like audition tips, self-tape setups, how to get started with 0 credits, that's what I did, drop a comment below. And as always, like, notification bell, and subscribe for more bi-weekly videos on acting, filmmaking, and the entire creative grind and stuff or whatever. Keep creating dope films, friends, and I'll see you in the next one. The audience is going to connect to you when you're truly authentically. Acting is a skill. Like I said,